What's good, y'all? Cal Visuals, and today we are doing a cinematography breakdown of my latest music video / live recording, Woman in the Woods with van plating. Let's do it. Alright, y'all, so in this cinematography breakdown, we're going to touch on a couple key topics. First and foremost, the story, aka the narrative. Second of all, the lighting. Third, the audio setup. And fourth and finally, our shooting style. So first and foremost for this project, we didn't have a specific story or narrative as it was a live recording. So the focus is on the live music, on the audio, on the band. However, we wanted to make this more of a contemporary and conceptual piece, and so we did kind of add an artistic side to it. So the concept of this video is essentially this band is performing in this glass box and putting themselves kind of out there for the world to see them, just opening themselves up to the world, for opening themselves up to judgment, to acceptance, to hate, to love, to whatever the world may offer. And so then we utilized stand-ins that we placed on the outside, and so these figures were kind of supposed to be this uniform representation of society, of society looking in and observing, and kind of just, it all encapsulates the idea that I think all of us sometimes feel that, like, we're being judged and watched by all of society, and sometimes we don't feel like we can really just truly be ourselves. And so that's what we're really going with kind of the concept and how this story was kind of placed together. And so how we made it happen was pretty simple. We shot and captured the band performing live, in this glass box, quote unquote. And then we captured just some simple B-roll takes. We did a version inside so I could get some OTS shots, for those who don't know, over the shoulder, from the perspective of van plating, kind of looking out onto the audience, as well as then getting perspective from the audience looking in. And so we did one take inside, getting those shots. So then we went outside and we got some detail shots. We got, macros of like hands, of, just the eye line. Then we got more close-ups of just the face. We got some wider shots of like all of them standing in uniform together. And so we're able to really capture and kind of tell this story without going too far into a narrative and taking away from the fact that we're really trying to be focused on the beautiful music, the live audio, the purpose of a live recording. Next, jumping into topic number 2, lighting. So the lighting setup for this was pretty awesome. Again, we wanted to make this a glass box feel, and like they're really opening themselves up to the world. And so how we envisioned that was a very bright, inviting, and welcoming feeling. And so we wanted to shoot this in the morning during daylight, so we had a bunch of bright light coming in, and so that's what we did. We shot it 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, is when we really got going. Arrived at about 7 to get set up. But what we did for lighting is over in the corner, we used an aperture 120D. This is going to be our key light, kind of reflecting of sunlight. So we had it coming in on the corner directly where the sun is going to be coming as well. And so this whole corner side, we have daylight pumping in from the sun, as well as daylight from the aperture 120D. Now, the rest of the setup in regards to lighting was pretty simple. It was just a matter of softening it. So we had to treat the lighting setup for outside and inside different. Inside, I didn't want harsh sunlight on their faces and having these just bad creasing shadows and such. And so what I did is we had diffusion, aka sheets, set up all over and around this quote-unquote glass box on the outside, and so that helped diffuse all the light that was coming in and soften it. So we had nice soft light coming in. We didn't have any just ugly, bad, harsh shadows or drop-offs or anything like that. Additionally, in order to get the band placed properly, I actually had to take the 2 doors in the back completely out of this area, and then had to set up both my C-stands and drape some bed sheets across in the background, so we still had that nice white uniformed look, but that way, we created a little more space so we could push van plating back, kind of fit better with the band, and I had more room to get movement and get shots. But we'll talk that more in the shooting style section. Additionally, just to kind of have the look exactly how we wanted, I actually had to use a steamer and steam these bed sheets because they're quite wrinkly. We didn't want that to be a distraction in the video, and so by steaming it and getting a nice clean flat look, it blended better with the background, and it was just a lot more of a natural and appealing look. And that way we were kind of just able to continue the shooting process. Now let's talk about the lighting outside. The lighting outside is very brief and simple. We used natural light. So we just used the light that was available, the sunlight coming out. Now it was very, very bright. So what I used was a variable ND. By using my Tiffin ND, I was really able to bring down that light, soften it out, diffuse it, and able to get some nice clean shots of these characters standing outside. So I didn't have to crank my shutter, I didn't have to adjust that. I could keep my settings exactly how I wanted them, but still get some nice, really clean looks. Additionally, I want to quickly mention, this wasn't exactly lighting, but we also used a polarizer filter. So polarizer is great for looking through glass. This filter helps eliminate reflections, and so it was just really, really helpful in getting those shots pushing through the glass, because shooting at 9 a.m. through till about 1 p.m. when we wrapped, we're getting like very strong and almost direct sunlight, and so this is going to cause a lot of reflections, and so having this polarizer was huge. It really, really helped us get those shots going through the glass. If we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't have been able to use those shots at all. Next, I want to touch on the audio. So the audio setup we used 2 mics. We used one boom with Rode NGG2, which you're listening to right now. It's right over there in the corner, right off camera. And so we used that to get natural room tone and the band playing. So this was picking up the entire band. It was picking up vocals, drum, bass, guitar, all of it. So this was giving us kind of like our base layer, our foundation, if you will. And then the creamy doesn't sound right. Then our second mic we used was a Shure. This was also another directional mic, and so we used a Shure mic to get strictly the audio. And so this way we were able to control the levels exactly how we wanted them. So if the band was too loud, we could bring it down, and vocals were too low, we could bring them up. We could adjust them how we wanted, rather than if we just used one mic. We're kind of just stuck with what we have. We can't like take every little element out and piece it apart. So we knew that we wanted to get 2 different recordings, and we're really glad we did. And I think the audio came out great as a result of it. Lastly, talking about the shooting style. So with this, very reflective of the song, we wanted to have a bright, inviting, welcoming feeling. We wanted it to be somewhat nostalgic. As a result of that, we knew we didn't want to use just still shots. It wouldn't have the emotion that we needed. It wouldn't reflect the music. It wouldn't expound the energy and the emotion that is supposed to be coming from the music, from the live recording. So that was cut, that was out. I knew I didn't want to use gimbals. If you know me, I hate gimbals. I think they're super robotic. They have a time and place for specific shots, but that's about it. That's all I think and care to use them for. And so I knew gimbals were out. It was too robotic. I wasn't going to get the motion. I wasn't going to pull out the emotion from my audience, from my viewers with the movement I think I would get with a gimbal. If anything, I would hire a Steadicam op for a project like this. But again, it just didn't meet our budget. Probably wouldn't fit in the glass box room because it was so small and tight. And again, just the movements might not exactly be a perfect representation of the song, wouldn't fit it perfectly. So I knew I wanted to kind of do this all handheld, all personally. And again, we wanted this to be raw. We wanted it to be organic and natural and like imperfectly perfect, And so we wanted to have this handheld. I wanted to shoot it at 24 FPS, and so we did exactly that. We shot it in 24 FPS, shutter at 50. Pretty much the aperture sat at 2.8 the entire time. I adjusted it to 4 for a couple shots. Again, that was just in regards to the motions I was taking, because I was flowing from each band figure to the other, and so pulling focus with that was somewhat difficult. So having 4 as my aperture rather than 2.8 just gives me a little bit extra room, a little bit of leeway in regards to pulling my focus. I was pulling it manually the whole time, and so having that extra leeway when I'm going in between band players was very, very helpful for some of those shots, because again, I don't have any articles or items to help me gauge my distance between Van Plating, who's like right here in the forefront of my face, and my drummer, who's way in the back corner, so they're completely different distances. So going from Van Plating to him, I don't have anything to help gauge that distance. So having that 4 just gave me a little bit extra leeway in regards to pulling my focus. And as you'll see with the shooting style in this video, there's no shots where I'm really standing still or I'm stagnant. Every single shot has movement going. Again, to keep the energy going and to properly reflect and expound, the emotion and the essence that this song represents, is trying to better convey the energy and the emotion, and again, just to kind of expound the representation of, you know, what this song is. I think we did a great job of, you know, combining all those elements, putting them all together, and making this video happen. Alright y'all, that's it for this week's cinematography breakdown of Woman in the Woods by Van Plating. Hope you all enjoyed, you know, picked up a thing or two you might be able to use for your next music video project. If you have any comments or questions, drop them below. Be sure to subscribe, guys. Got more incredible cinematography breakdowns as well as new tutorials coming every single Friday. You don't want to miss out, so be sure to hit that post notification. I'll see y'all next week. Deuces.